This computer. Okay, we're recording. So I can officially welcome you to my Ask Me Anything Live. Today is Monday, April 12th. So happy to see a couple people here. It might be a little bit of a shorter session today. I've got some family stuff that I have to attend to, but we're still going to go for probably at least a half hour, depending on how many questions we have and if anybody else joins. But welcome, Celestine and Diane. You're welcome if you've got a question to go ahead and pipe up. I'm also going to open the chat so that if anybody is in a place where they can't talk, and let me just close my door. I didn't realize that it was not closed. One second. Alrighty. So if you've got a question, I'm happy to help. I'm all yours, at least for the time being. Celestine, do you have something that I can help you with?
Yes. Well, I'm new to the business of coaching and author and speaker, being an author, speaker, and coach. So I'm new to it, and I don't know. I'm hoping I can learn something from you guys as to what I need to protect my business. My business. I don't know if the name of the business or anything like that has anything to do with it, but I just need to know what I need to do to protect my business as an author. I have a book that's going to be coming out real soon, and I have a little challenge with my publishing company, just a little bit, and it's not a big deal, but I know that I need a third party involved to make sure that everything goes well for me. So the timing of this is perfect for me. So.
Okay. So let me ask you, because I can give you kind of some quick overviews. I can also point you in the direction of some tools that I have created that could help you determine what you need. Let me just pull up the links real quick.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got, for people that are in the coaching and consulting space, I have, because there's a couple different things that I would recommend if you have not been through them already. Do you know if you have yet seen or walked through my Legal Basics Bootcamp?
I was trying to figure out, I did something that I liked. The first time I spoke to you, so we've spoken to each other before.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but the reason I'm taking this Zoom call is because I felt like it was something familiar.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't need it. And now that I'm where I am at this point, I realize how much I need it. So.
Oh, I totally get it. Yes, no, I so get it. And welcome to Shyla. I see it looks like Epsilon, and then Diane is also here. So we're just walking through a few questions. Celestine, if you haven't already, I'm going to recommend that you go through my Legal Basics Bootcamp. It's going to give you a very strong overview of what you need in your business if you are in the coaching and consulting space, which is largely who I serve. And let me just pull up the link so I can post it in here.
Thank you. Would that involve speaking and authorship as well?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
So all of these businesses are, why Legal Basics. Sorry, why is it not coming up? Oh, typing too fast. I left out an L. All of these businesses look very similar. And from the standpoint of essential legal supports, they all basically need the same things. The Legal Basics Bootcamp is going to walk you through, I've got a framework that's called my 5-bucket framework for business protection. And it basically, I designed a simplified roadmap, if you will, that helps people understand where to look. And it's also kind of it helps people like check the box, like, oh yeah, I've already taken care of business formation, and now I need to look in the contracts bucket. And then once they've walked their way through contracts, like, okay, have I covered my insurance needs, right? So it gives you some categories that will help you have a lot more confidence in making decisions and knowing that you've taken care of the various aspects of your business that you need to. So I'm going to pop this, and it's free. It's just a free boot camp that you can walk through. You will get daily messages for about 5 days reminding you to go do the daily video and walk through the exercise. So there's that boot camp link. And then I'm also going to give you separately, if you're wondering, like, because a lot of people getting started, they know they need some essential contracts. They don't know where to start with that. This is kind of a quick tool that I developed. The second link, which just says tools opt-in. It's a tool that I developed that will ask you questions like, are you doing this in your business? And then there's a drop down. If yes, then you need this particular contract to cover this aspect of your business. So that's kind of a second tool that will help you understand your contract needs based on what you're doing right now.
Awesome.
So those are both good places to start. And that way you can put together a list of, this is what I have, this is what I need, and you can start to work against that. The other thing that people find really helpful starting off, and I'm just going to post a link here. I've got a bundle called the Business Builder Basics bundle, which let me just pull up a couple links. And that's for somebody that hasn't even, for example, incorporated. They haven't set up their business, their business structure within their state, whether that's an LLC, whether it's something else. A lot of people that I serve are, they do really well with LLCs because they are usually solo entrepreneurs or maybe a partnership where they have small teams. But the LLC model is very flexible from the standpoint of taxation, from the standpoint of management. So the Business Builder Basics bundle walks you through how to set up a business, what you need, what comes next. And inside of that bundle, which is what I was thinking of for you, there's actually a checklist called the Business Builder Basics Quick Start Guide. And you can get that inside the Business Builder Basics bundle, but you can also get it separately on my individual templates page. So that's a great place for people that are like literally starting off, and even people that are partway through the path. It is a very detailed, it's like 9 or 10 pages. It basically does all the planning for you in your business legally of what you need, at what step, where to look. It helps people navigate it without having to go pay $3,000 to an attorney to sort it all out, right? I mean, some people are much more comfortable with a do-it-yourself kind of approach. Others aren't, but this is a guide that's very helpful that you can find inside my individual template store. And then you can also find it inside of my bundles. And so again, it's called the Business Builder Basics Quick Start Guide. But here's a link to my bundles as well. Anyways, those are the resources that come to mind for you based on what I'm hearing you say about where you're at and trying to understand your legal needs.
So if I were to go to your website, which is the legal website warrior.com, and then I would go / could I find everything there on that website, or do I have to actually / enter bundle bootcamp, bundle basics?
So you can just grab these links if you know how to copy and paste. Can
No,
you?
yeah, that's what I'm asking. But I clicked on one, but nothing happened. Usually when I click on it, I usually see.
Yeah, it should pop up unless you've got like a pop-up blocker on your web browser.
That's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing, Celestine, if you want to give me your email address, I can just email these links. And so that way they're inside of your email. What is your email address?
It's celestinesnell@gmail.com.
Celestine Snail. How do you spell Snell, SNELL @gmail.com?
Yes.
Okay, let me just pop those links over to you in an email. They'll be coming from Heather at legalwebsitewarrior.com, but that way you've got those there as well.
I appreciate your time, your patience with me.
Thank
you.
Totally. No biggie. No, there's a lot to navigate. So I'm just going to put links to resources as the subject line so that you can watch for that.
I'm going to need all of those resources. So I do want to go through all of them.
Yeah, well, the first 2 are free. They'll help you kind of create the list of stuff that you need based on what you're doing right now. And then the other ones, templates, yep, and the bundle are the paid resources once you're ready to move forward and actually put some stuff in place.
Is it would it be appropriate for me to ask you what is your services like for business on a yearly basis?
On a yearly basis? So are you talking about like a membership plan?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm actually just in the process of creating one. The struggle that I have, it's not really a struggle, but the challenge I have is I have some clients who are really, really established, and then
Mhm.
others who are just starting off. And the
For the
common
tiers. Yeah.
Yes, and so they have very different needs
Mhm.
and all
Mhm.
often very different budgets, right? But the common
Yes.
thread is that they take their work and their business very seriously. And so
Yes.
my goal in what I've done and tried to do is create resources where for folks that have a limited budget, but they're still really committed to getting high quality support in place, they can do that through some of my automated bundles, some of my templates, some of my resources that I've built out. And then for others who want a high touch experience and they just want me to do it for them, right? Then that's a kind of a different level of service. So happy to chat directly about that, Celestine. If you've got some questions or you want to schedule a separate call, we could jump on and talk about where you're at and what you're looking for.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great to connect with you. So Ypsilon, Shyla, and Diane, anybody have questions that I can support you with this morning?
Well, woo, do you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, Celeste was just asking all the questions I had. So
Awesome.
I'm just starting off with my coaching, and I know where to find you. You're just rocking, girl.
Hooray! Oh, well, I'm
I
so glad. I'm so glad that, and the funny thing is the number of time that happens where, I have people that I haven't seen on a call before jump on, and if somebody asks a question and it's the same question other people had, anyways, I love it. It's why I love doing my Ask Me Anything lives. So Ypsilon, same to you. Go through those resources, see what you
Yes.
need. If you have additional follow-up questions, you're welcome to jump back onto my monthly call, or you can also schedule a direct consult with me. If you've got my email, you can just reach out.
And your automated service is just something I dream about. So that's
Well, thank you. It does take some time to figure out how to build it all and how you want it to kind of live in the world. And I feel like it's always a work in progress, right? There's no arrival point where I'm like, oh, this thing is perfect, but it is a way to help provide service to people who might normally, not find it or not find it in the way that they need it. So I'm glad to have it.
Oh, yes. And I just started to learn not to be perfect as well. So,
Exactly. Progress over perfection, right?
oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Great to see you. And welcome to Erica. I saw Erica pop on for a second. Shyla, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you. Okay, so I have a question. I have speaker contractor just for providing professional development with schools. Some of it's virtual and some of it's in person. I have now partnered with someone for some of the professional development that's out in California.
Okay.
My contracts are wrote as they're governed by the state of Minnesota. If there is a joint effort, do we need the contracts to be governed by both states, or can it just be one or the other?
No, it's better to have it be one or the other. The reason being is you need to have a venue and you need to have a set of laws that are going to apply to the interpretation of that contract. You don't want competing state laws. You don't want, and if it's your business, so for example, I'm curious, did they solicit your services or how did the arrangement come about?
Well, he has a student-based program that pretty much mirrors my program that I do with leaders, administrators, the teachers, and paraprofessionals in the school system. So we thought, what better than to join forces with a year-long program and provide it for all? But he's out in California and I'm in Minnesota.
Yeah, so we're talking a little bit, it sounds a little bit like a kind of a joint venture project, right? Like a collaboration. You're going to do this project together, test it, see how it goes. Couple things to think about is, and I'm just curious because partly it's an issue of, and if it's truly joint, like you guys met, you came up with the idea together, usually what happens in this is like one person has the idea and it like invites the other person like, hey, will you collaborate with me? I've got this project kind of planned out. Can you tell me a little bit about the how it originated? Like, does it feel 50-50 or does it feel like you did the invitation?
No, it feels 50-50 because his is more the school based or the student based, and then mine is more the adult, the staff based.
Administrators. So with joint venture projects and interstate collaboration, there's a variety of issues to think about, right? One is what you're talking about right here, which is if we have any issues that come up in the course of working together, where are they going to be resolved and under what law, right? So that's usually the governing law provision, and sometimes venue and jurisdiction, right, is separate. So you want to make sure that you have those spelled out clearly, and you're just going to have to talk about it. Is he okay coming to Minnesota or having Minnesota be the place where those situations are resolved? I will say that most businesses would not opt into California law as the governing. Like if they had a choice, they'd choose almost any other state, just FYI. Just because California, there are some states that are really hard on businesses, and California can be one of them. It's not bad. Like, I appreciate a very forward-thinking state, right? And they're excellent when it comes to consumer protection issues, employee issues. They've made some changes that are more protective of the individual, which I appreciate. I'm always kind of a, voting for the underdog type of attorney. So that's good, but my clients are businesses, and so I have to have really frank discussions with them about some of these choices. And the other thing to think about as you guys are, setting out doing this is, and you'll want to talk with your CPAs, right? There are some joint ventures, and basically there's two types of joint ventures. There's what I call project-based or contractual joint ventures, where you put a contract in place that says, hey, here's what we're going to do together. Here's the scope. This is what it looks like. If we have any issues, this is where it's going to be resolved. You spell out all of the parameters of the project. And then there's joint ventures where people are literally creating a new business together. So they might be incorporating a whole new business. They might be setting up, intellectual property together, all of that. Most people that I support are doing project-based collaboration or project-based joint ventures, at least initially, as a way to test the partnership, see, does this work? Can we make this cash flow? Is it going to be something that works for both of us, just from a, collaboration perspective? So, I've got a JV agreement and preparation guide as one of my templates in my online store, which I'm happy to share. But some of the issues that you want to watch for is there any creation of intellectual property together? Are you guys having discussions where you actually are creating intellectual property and you haven't put language in place around who's going to own it? How do you figure out what you're going to do if there's a fight about who created what, right? So all intellectual property often slips through the cracks because people just get busy, they get started, they're super excited to work together, and then later they have massive problems unwinding what they've actually created. And so what I will say about my joint venture preparation guide, and it's actually, you can find it at that individual templates link that I shared right there. So I'll just say, look for the JV agreement template and the preparation guide. The value of that is, seriously, there's a ton of value in the contract itself, because there's a lot of things that most people don't think about when they're going into a JV. But the preparation guide, it will help you work through all of these issues in advance to save the heartache, to save the, stepping into these big potholes before you do it. And the other thing is that for any future collaborations, you have this. You've got the template, you've got the guide. It will train you and train your mind how to think about and walk through some of these issues in advance, which I tell people, what is it? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Same goes for here. If people would slow down and just have more time up front to actually have the conversation about, like, What do we do if one of us gets sick? What do we do if one of us, has to stop working? What do we do? Because the answer to that question may differ from, what if one of us just wants to walk away, right?
Mhm.
You might have a different answer to what happens with whether you're building, say, for example, a course site together, or a website, or, some content that lives somewhere. There's usually some, technical things that you have to sort out. And this process and the preparation guide will help you walk through that so that you are so organized. Miss Charisse, I just have to say hello. So good to see you. So that's just a resource that, time and again, and I will just say, to toot my own horn, I had a gentleman go through my JV. I had a training on it. And for anybody who does get the joint venture agreement and preparation guide, I've got a workshop that I did last year. He's a CPA. He'd been a CPA and done like multi-million, like massive joint ventures with clients and for clients over the years. He's worked in as a CPA for 30 or 40 years. So very, very experienced. And he said he'd never seen an agreement that was that good and that detailed, and the preparation guide. So that gave me, I really appreciated his feedback as somebody who has even more experience than I do in this space. And it's really designed to help people get it right before they get started, before they go very far down that path. So hopefully that helps. The thing you are gonna want to do, which I started to say and then I got sidetracked, is if you do have CPAs, you are going to want to each talk to whoever helps you with your taxes or does your financial stuff for you, because there can be some tax ramifications that you each would need to understand based on the fact that you're in separate states. You might have different reporting requirements. You might have different, requirements depending on the levels of income that you are each at in your businesses, right? So it might look different for each of you, and just make sure that you've got, somebody on the tax side to help you look at that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great to see you. And I feel like we swapped emails, and then I had all sorts of things go kind of crazy in my life, and you're on my list of people to still connect with. So I'll go find those emails. I'm just to the point where I'm kind of digging back into doing work again. I had to take a bunch of time off because of burnout and some other things.
Oh.
Yeah, so I would love to reconnect with you.
Yeah, please do, because I specialize in burnout, actually, in burnout recovery. So
You're like,
you
why?
probably should have contacted me a long time ago, Heather.
Good to know. Well, yeah, I've learned a few things about burnout. Yeah, perfect timing. Charisse, so good to see you. How are you?
Hello. Hi, ladies. I didn't even have a question. I just wanted to come in because I love Heather so much. And it's my lunch break. So I was like, hey, I can actually pop in for like 2 seconds before going back to work. But something that we talked about when I came to your Q&A session in 2020 was I was talking about the LLC formation and when is it necessary? And you were saying definitely do it as soon as possible, like when you can. So I wanted to tell you that I have my LLC. Like I got it totally official.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's so fun telling you guys because, people in my world don't get it, right? I was like, I have my LLC, and they were like, that's awesome. What's that?
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to describe, right? You're like, well, it's like a legal, never mind, right? So I got that, and that was really exciting. And I got all of basically, I'm just going to be spending a bunch of money. That's basically what it means. But it's like a legal official way. I got the city, the state, the county, like every single seller's permit and certification and everything I need, and business bank accounts. Yeah, I literally had a checklist. Yeah, and I was just going through and I got it all done. And now I'm like super legally legit. So I just wanted to
you can come here and celebrate that all day long, doing the happy dance for you. Charisse, I was thinking about you the other day because of that project that you were thinking about.
Yes. Yeah. So I ended up doing a small fundraiser during my birthday.
Okay.
And raising a couple $100s, but I wanted to do a really big one and raise like thousands of dollars. But I don't know how to do it. So I just got really stuck in that where I was just like, I still don't know what I'm doing.
So I get it.
And to this day, I still don't know what I'm doing.
We all develop a lot of winging it skills. That is one of the lessons that I learned, ironically, early in my law career. Is I kept thinking like, oh, when you reach the 10-year mark or the 15 mark, then 15-year mark, then you're really gonna like know stuff, right? And I realized in watching a lot of my mentors, like every case, like, and at that point I was doing litigation. There was a fair amount of transactional work as well, but a lot of litigation, and every case was different. It was like, oh, literally, like are just learning and learning and learning and learning and doing and doing. Like, anyway, so that's my joke.
It's like being a grown up, right? Like how they're like, you'll feel
Yeah.
you're grown when you're 18, when you're 25, and then when you have kids, and when you get, and you're just still like, no, I don't always feel like that. Yeah, I'm definitely still going to do that project and get support since I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and JV the
Totally.
experience I don't have. And this
Totally.
also my last year teaching for reals this time, not like the other times when I said it. So I'm going, I'm going full time in my business in June. So that's when I can like relook at the project and stuff like that.
Awesome.
But yeah, Erica, I'll let you ask your questions.
Yes, I see that. Cherise, so good to see you. Be sure to reach out if you are getting that project going, because I'm also happy to ping my network and see, does anybody know how to help support a fundraiser?
That'd be amazing. Okay, so I will follow up with you.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Have a good
Bye.
day.
I'd be interested in knowing about that.
Congratulations.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, Celestine, I know.
Yeah, I've done the fundraiser for my birthday, but that's how much I raised. The $25 that I put in. That was it.
Well,
And
that
I
was more.
asked for $5 contribution. So
Yeah, Celeste, you might need the person more. I know more than Cherise does. I'm kidding. I know. That's cute. That was a good story. Oh goodness. All right, Erica, are you here with us?
Hi, I am. I'm here.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can come in on video too.
Totally.
Hi. So I have two questions. So I'll tell you what they both are, and then you can answer in
Okay.
whatever order. So, I didn't get your contract on the like when you're a like all the like podcast. It's like the right, that contract.
Release, was it the interview?
Right. So I didn't get the interview release because I'm not the interviewer, but more and more and more I'm the interviewee, and I'm being interviewed by people who don't have a release contract.
Yes.
Or don't. And so I'm wondering what, like I want to have something that says, do I have access to reposting the videos or the interviews, or like, can I, if I want the original files to be able to use, for my marketing, or so I just don't. So that's like question one. And then question two is I'm at the point now where I think I'm ready to start the trademark process. And I would love to just hear from you, like what that entails, like what I would need to be thinking about, what documents I would need to be gathering, like where, because I know you kind of where you're at now also in your process with doing trademark.
Yeah, absolutely.
My questions.
Great questions. So to your first question about interviews, so most people, so understand that your, let's call it your original content, like your body of work, the concepts that you're going to be speaking on, right? You own the rights to that content, to your concepts, the way that you teach on things, regardless of, going and doing these interviews. So one, I want people to understand that their original body of work and their services and all of that is separate and apart from the interview itself. When it comes to the interview, the person interviewing you, or the show or the program or whatever, they are likely going to have and are going to want copyright to that interview, right? They're hosting the platform, they're paying for the professional editing, usually they're doing all of the things that would give them right to that particular interview. Doesn't extend beyond that into any of your other content, just the interview, right? And that could be in audio form, could be in video form, depending on how it's created. Now, there are a couple ways that you could approach getting what you want from that, which is the ability to share this stuff, the ability to also maybe in some instances have access to the original recording or a copy of that file. And, you know, there's basically an informal way you can approach that or a formal way, right? The informal way would be to have a conversation or even swap emails with somebody so that it's in writing. Hey, I'd love to be a guest on your show. Here's what I would request, right? Is that you provide a copy of the recorded file with me and that I have rights to share it however I see fit, whatever, right? Whatever it is that you want. So you can put that into an email and get a confirmation that way. Some platforms are going to be okay with that. Some won't. Some people, especially if they're hosting a podcast or hosting a show, they want all of the links to go back to the original posting place of that content, right? So that they can track numbers and see viewership or listenership and all of that. So part of it is it's going to just be a conversation or a series of questions each time to figure out, does this work for that particular platform or host? If so, get a confirmation in writing. You could certainly have a standard form agreement in place on your side. That would be more unlikely, meaning it's usually the host of the show or the platform that should have that form. But you could do it. You just may not get everybody to sign it, depending on either how restrictive or whatever it is, right? So partly
So if
depends
I go on to you know, an interview where they don't have this,
Mhm.
right, where I'm not signing anything and there's no release, then I'm not being held to anything either. I could use it. I mean, if there's been no conversation,
Yeah, if
I
there's
guess that's just sort of my question. Is there anything that I need to be like, just, what
I
do
mean,
I need to have?
yeah, the first thing to be aware of is that, especially even if there's no document that you sign, no release or anything, they're still going to have copyright to the recording itself, to the interview itself. I always recommend having a direct conversation or email exchange about those things so that people are just really clear in advance, so that you don't have to, you know, go down the bumpy road after it happens. You can have smooth pavement and save yourself the heartache, because those do take time, right? They do. It's time and your expertise out of your pocket, and it would be a bummer to learn that, for example, they don't want you to share it on your own platform, right? When I have podcast guests on my podcast, I have this whole basically, semi-automatic email in it, but I include things in it. I share the visuals. I share the webcast recording where they can post it wherever they want to post it. Yes, it would be great if they all posted it and it tracked back to my podcast, but I'm less concerned about that than people actually consuming the content, right? So it just partly depends. And I would just encourage you, have that conversation with people so that you can ask for what you want and be more likely to get it.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I also think it can be done in a fairly informal way. And so long as you have an email conversation that says, yes, that's fine, and you get it confirmed, you're good to go.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then trademark.
Yep. In regards to trademarks. So, and for other people on the call, let's just do a quick overview, basics of trademark versus copyright, because I get a lot of questions on this. If you think of your brand or your business like a mountain, right? Like I'm not too far from Mount Rainier. I can see it, fairly close to my house. You have the snow-capped peaks at the top, right? So think of your brand or business like a mountain. I think of it in two separate sections. Snow-capped peaks, which is the part that usually is visible, right? Sits above the clouds, sits above the landscape, whatever. And then you've got the parts of the mountain that are below the snow-capped peaks. Trademarks protect the snow-capped peaks. They protect what is visible from the marketplace, which is usually, and what I mean visible from the marketplace, like your signature stuff, your business name, your signature course or program or product name, your logo, your tagline, right? So trademarks protect a word or a short phrase, right? A short string of words, as well as a logo if you've got a unique, creative, designed logo. So a couple examples. Think of Nike, just do it, right? So the word Nike, the tagline, just do it, as well as the Nike swoosh, those are all separate trademarks.
Okay.
Okay. Copyright protects the rest of the mountain. This is the body of your work, your training videos, your workbooks, the content that you share during your workshops. If you do live videos like this, right? If you have a 7-step system or a framework that you teach and you put it down in a series of articles or blog posts or even newsletters, right? You can copyright. And you know, basically my clients and people I work with, I like to train them all to think of themselves as a publisher. We are all content creators and we publish information in different ways. And, you know, just understand that you've got to figure out because people also ask me, well, do I need to copyright everything? I create so much content. It's like, no, but you definitely want to figure out the core pieces of your work and ask yourself, what is the best way to express? Oh, and I'm just gonna hit mute here on Interdyne. Welcome, Interdyne International K9. I just had to hit mute for a second. But what is the best way to express that work? Is it in video format? Is it in a workbook you've already created? Maybe you've written a book. Maybe you have a mini course that you've already created. Figure out, because copyright protects the expression of an idea, not the idea itself, right? People get offended when they see other people having the same idea, like, well, that was my idea. Copyright doesn't protect the idea, it protects your unique expression of that idea. And so that's why I also ask my clients to go through an exercise of, what is the best way for you to share and for people to consume that work? Is it through video format? Is it through an audio series? Is it through a written workbook? Like, you can figure out what is the best way to do that and then seek copyright protection around your core offerings, around that core expression, so that you have, you know, as much of your work protected in the marketplace as possible. But I think that visual can help people. Trademarks are top of the mountain. That's business name, tagline, short phrase, a logo. Copyright's bottom of the mountain. In regards to trademark, because each of those processes are a little bit different. Copyright's fairly straightforward, meaning that it is a smaller filing fee. I think it's depending on what it is and whether it's a series copyright, whether it's an individual copyright. They just bumped prices. I'm wanting to say it's like between $45 and $65 per copyright. You basically pay the fee, submit the specimen, and you can do copyright registrations on your own. Right there, it's fairly straightforward. It is a waiting game, like other things. You pay the fee and then you wait for a while, might be 10 months, and then you get a confirmation, right? And what it does, also keep in mind that when you create a work, when you put an idea into the marketplace, you express it and it takes tangible form, whether that's written, audio, video, however you're doing it. There generally is a 90-day timeline around obtaining copyright protection on that work. So, so the other question I get is people are like, oh, well, I never copyrighted my website, but I have like 5 of my main web pages that I need to copyright, right? You may need to update some of the content or revise some of the pages or do something that essentially starts that clock over and allows you to copyright a new piece of content, right? So there are some strategies that you can use to look at what you already have. In regards to trademark, it's a bigger filing fee. That fee just went up January 1st of this year or January 2nd. It is, let's see, per item, I think it's a 200, depends on if you file, there's a way that you can file using some of the standard clauses within the trademark manual. Otherwise, if you have your own description of the trademark, you pay a higher filing fee. But basically, I want to say it's about $350 per filing. So that's the fee. If you are already using the mark in commerce, let's say it's your business name or it's a tagline. If you're already using it in commerce, then you file on a certain, there's 2 bases for filing. One is you're already using it. The second is intent to use. If it's intent to use, so some people come to me in the planning phase and they go, hey, I'm going to launch this new business or this new website. I have a tagline I would like to protect. I have a new business name. They're not using it yet. It's intent to use. you will have additional filing fees because you have to pay the fee now to get it filed. And then once you convert to actual use, you have to update your documentation, pay some new fees. So partly depends what path you're on, right? And you can also obtain extensions. So some people will file intent to use, and then there's a little bit of a grace period. You can file for an extension, which I think is maybe around $100 fee, and then, you know, file the documents that are required sometime later. So there's various paths for the filing itself, and also various fee structures. Now, the timeline for a trademark is longer than copyright, right? You file for a trademark and it can take, you know, 12, 15, 18 months to get that trademark. And there's a variety of trademark officers at the USPTO, United States Patent and Trademark Office. And so the other thing I say is that, you know, while I do a lot of coaching for people in advance around, you know, because the quick overview and how to try to improve your odds of getting a trademark registration is that you want your business name, you want the phrase or the words that you're trying to protect, you want them to be unique. So a couple of examples: Nike, Starbucks. These are not words that we use day to day in our regular lingo unless we're literally referring to Nike or Starbucks. That is what makes for a strong, protectable mark. Now, there are a lot of people there's various categories. Like when the trademark office looks at your application, they're going to decide, is it merely descriptive or generic, or is it, you know, is it more unique, falling into one of the categories that's easier to protect? If it's just descriptive, like I had somebody come to me with, like, basically, let's pretend that it was like 5-step success system. And I was like, oh, let me guess, this is about, you know, 5 steps to do something and be successful at it, right? That is less protectable. You don't want something that is just descriptive, describing literally what the thing is, because the trademark office is likely to flag you for that and say, nope, you can't do that. Anybody could use those words. Perfect example, Seattle's Best Coffee. That's a coffee company here in Seattle. Guess what? They can't get a trademark on the principal register for Seattle's Best Coffee, because any coffee shop in Seattle can claim to make Seattle's best coffee. It's descriptive, right? It is not a unique mark. And so, you know, oftentimes it's better for people in the planning phase to be doing some thinking about their taglines, their business name, et cetera, whatever it is they're seeking a mark around, because sometimes even just with a slight modification or a slight twist, you're going to be much more likely to have that be a protectable mark versus one that either does not qualify for a mark or ends up on the supplemental register. So there's a principal register and there's a supplemental register. By very nature of being on the supplemental register, you cannot claim exclusive rights or exclusive use over your mark. Well, usually the reason people seek a trademark registration in the first place is because they want exclusive use over that phrase or over that mark, right? So just be aware that there are some, you know, some kind of nuances of this process where sometimes, you know, I had a client years ago before they became my client go through the trademark process themselves and sign off on the trademark officer's recommendation that they file on the supplemental register. Now, and he's got a worldwide brand. We put like $2.8 million worth of advanced fee publishing agreements in place for him, which is unheard of. And he's got probably, I don't know, I mean, hundreds of thousands of people around the world that are aware of his system and his brand. And he cannot enforce his international trademarks because they all look to the US system and they see that he's on the supplemental register here. And they say, nope, we're not going to file your mark here in basically European and international markets. And so he's having a heck of a time trying to enforce his brand in the marketplace because of that simple error. And so that's just one small example. I mean, he couldn't have known that his brand was going to explode and go worldwide and he was going to publish multiple books and, you know, this kind of thing. But but it did. And now he's got a headache and a problem that's probably going to cost him tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to his business. So trademarks are one of those things that it in my view, and obviously I'm an attorney speaking on this, in my view, it is well worth the money to try to do it the right way first, so that you do not have a headache following your business around for the rest of the life of your business. So that, yeah, that was quite an overview. Did that answer some of the questions or what you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering because my brand, my system probably falls more under the descriptor category. So it just makes me wonder then what are the steps that I should take?
Yeah. Well, there are still other ways. So trademark may not be the way for you. So for example, if you were thinking about a signature course or program name, right? You still might be able to protect that system under copyright. Right. So not only, you know, putting down and again, you'd have to go through the analysis of what is the best way for you to express that system where you capture the steps or the content or something, and it's not necessarily a trademark. It could be copyrights.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Good. You're so welcome.
Yeah. Good to see you.
There's a lot. I'm gonna pop off. No worries. Good to see you too, Erica. Take good care.
Thanks.
All right. How are we doing? You guys hung in there. I know we covered a lot today. Good work. Celestine, I see you like taking notes like a proud woman over there.
I'm loving this. I'm really loving this. I think I'm hooked on you, girl.
Good. I will take it.
Heather, can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Okay, so I received an email from someone that I follow, and it was essentially, it's in the group that I'm part of, and it says the button is like, claim your free ticket here. And so I go to click the button, and then it goes through the event, but then there's like this power pack that comes with it. So in order to even get this ticket, we have to pay $97.
Oh, to get a free ticket to something else, or
it's a free ticket to the event, but yet the worksheets and everything that come with it, we have to pay the $97. And is that okay? Like, it just feels weird to me. Like, it just.
Yeah, there's two questions here. Is that legally okay or is it morally okay? Yeah.
Right.
Legally, I mean, I'd have to look at the specifics and the sales page and dig into it. You know, from an ethical perspective, there's a ton of things that people do that just ethically and I tell people this all the time, like literally 97% of the problems that we see in business and in the online space and with infringement scenarios and copy, you know, all this stuff would be solved with a big dose of personal ethics. And like, I don't know, ethics have always been a passion of mine. It's actually what got me into law in the first place. Is I took a business law course and then separately in my advanced English writing course, and this was at the very end of my undergrad studies. For some reason, I chose my final paper, and I can't even to this day remember how I chose this as a topic, but I chose legal ethics as the topic to write on. And that is what launched me into applying to law school and going to law school next. But like, I would say those of us who like the topic of ethics live in what we consider to be an ethical place. It's hard to understand people that don't have like an ethical barometer, you know, that they run everything past. And I see a ton of that in the online space. And so I just like, if you see that and you see it repetitively, I mean, my recommendation to people is the way we change behaviors, we vote with our time and our attention and our dollars, right? And so when you see businesses that are engaging in business practices that are unethical, cast your vote, remove your time and your attention and your dollars from that business, or let them know like, ooh, that was really distasteful. Like I would have gone to the event and I showed up and it said this, and you know, that was a real put off. Because I think you know, the more gracious side of me feels like there are a lot of people running around trying to figure out how to do online business, and they go like, oh, they do that, and this person said this works, I'm just going to do that, and they don't run it past their own internal filter, right? So I think that you know, we have an opportunity to shape the marketplace that we're in, and we do that through our voice or just removing ourselves as somebody that follows and interacts with that business. But yeah,
Okay.
I know.
I did already speak up. I'm like, this doesn't seem right. So
I know it is always
you.
like stomach turning when you see that stuff, or, you know, and there's been lots of discussion around this. The people that are like, oh, come to my live training, and then you show up and it's totally not live. And, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff like that. These kinds of, they just feel a little bit like bait and switch, you know, and it's yucky. And it's also a good reminder, like, oh my gosh, to look at ourselves and our own business and like, is there anywhere that I'm doing that? And hopefully the answer is no. But if I ever were to, I'd want to hear about it, because it would not be intentional, right? It's, yeah. Let's see, question. Am I able to trademark the tagline, train them, don't blame them? So the quick answer to that is I don't know. I'd have to go do, so you can hire attorneys to do what's called a knockout search, which is where they go and they do some initial research. They would look at the filings that already exist at the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Depending on where you engage in business, they might look other places as well. So you'd want somebody to help you do that search and to determine, is that a fit for you, or does it need a slight modification depending on what you see? What I often tell people to do themselves is obviously spend quite a bit of time on Google. You can see what's in the marketplace, what's being used, whether there's anything similar. And the key to doing a proper search when you've got a tagline or a business name that has, you know, 3 or 4 words, is to also search a shortened version of that phrase in combination. So you want to, you know, you want to search, you basically want to conduct searches that are going to find any tagline that uses the word blame or train or, you know, and see like what else exists, so that because sometimes all it takes is something that looks kind of similar, and maybe it's also a coaching or consulting business. So with trademarks, you register a mark by category. And so sometimes even if the exact mark doesn't exist, if there's a similar one and it's in the same space as you, so for example, coaching and consulting versus coaching and activewear, right? 2 totally different, you know, you could have live your best life over here in coaching and live your best life on activewear. And those might both exist at the trademark office and both be protectable because they're totally different businesses. The likelihood of confusion is not high. And that is the barometer. So the way that our whole trademark system evolved is like back in the day, if you purchased a good in the marketplace, there was literally a stamp on that good, the original trademark, right? And so our trademark system developed not to protect the business, but to protect the consumer of the goods, to make sure that they were purchasing goods with an authentic mark, right? If you go to buy a soda and you know that you want Pepsi, you don't want to drink a Coke, and vice versa. And so the trademark system actually exists to protect the consumer. And yes, I'm sure the government's very happy to take our fees in the meanwhile as a business. But the question always is there a likelihood of confusion regarding this mark? And what that means is there already one in the marketplace that could be similar enough that it would confuse a consumer buying either one of these goods or services? Right. So that's why you have to look around, not just for the exact phrase or name, but something fairly similar as well, because you could be excluded. You could be precluded from getting your mark based on that. You're so welcome. Good to see you. And who is that from? Let's see. Oh, that's from Interdyne, International K9. You're very welcome. Okay. All right, you guys, any other questions? Smiley face. I love smiley faces. Any other questions today? This is a good call. We had great questions and a good variety. You got like your Legal Basics 101 for entrepreneurship today. All righty. Well, if there are no additional questions, then good luck this week. Have a great week. Have a great month. I'll be back. So currently all of my Ask Me Anything lives are scheduled for the second Monday of every month at 11 a.m. So, you know, put those on your calendar if you found this helpful, or if you have friends that are also entrepreneurs and might have questions. You're welcome to join me each month. I go live so that I can help people with questions like this. And the other thing I will say is, I know not that anybody probably these days finds themselves bored and wanting more legal training, but I will mention it because it's there. All of my Ask Me Anything lives from last year, I have on, I forget what it's called, a thread or whatever on my YouTube channel. So I'm just going to post my YouTube channel here. And you can just go find, let me just grab the link. You can go find my Ask Me Anything live. It's not going to be totally current because there've been a handful that I've done this year that I haven't posted yet. But if you go to that YouTube link, you're going to find a lot of content that, not all of it, but some of it has like descriptions down in the description section. You can see what type of topics we cover, but I went live last year every week, not every month. And so there's literally a whole library of videos and topics that we cover that, you know, could really help you depending on what your questions are and what you're looking for. But that exists because this year I tamped down my schedule so that I just go live once a month. And I get asked a lot of the same questions. So if you have a question, it's probably been asked, and it also probably lives in these video recordings. So you're welcome to go check these out. Again, it's my my Ask Me Anything live playlist. That was the word I was looking for, playlist. And then I also have like a 1-minute legal tip playlist. Those are like shorter videos, and then some others that are topic specific. So you're welcome to check those out. All right. You're so welcome, intern. Oh, excellent. Thank you, Interdine. You guys have a great week. Happy spring. We're having sunshine here in Seattle, so I'm celebrating. Bye, everyone. Great to see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome, Ypsilon. Great to see you. Just gonna grab this chat before I go. There we go. All right. Have a great week. We will see you later.